Let me get a mic check.
Hello.
Hello, test.
Fantastic. All right. And we don't have Discord. Why do we not have webcams? One sec. Figure this out. Okay. That do it?
It's all good.
I
I have actually turned into an amorphous
It was
purple blob. It is due to me wearing a purple t-shirt during this heat, and I have actually melted.
This was working before the show. I don't know why it's not working now. The name of the the name of the
did you do the pop-out tab?
Oh, there's Father Loris. Why is Lambert not here? It's odd. Okay.
Yeah, did you do the webcam pop-out thing on Discord?
I did, yes.
Okay.
Hey, did that fix it? There we go. Oh, except Father Loris is in the wrong place now. Okay, good. Technical difficulties. They happen sometimes. We'll fix it.
Sorry, this part won't be on SoundCloud, so
Yeah. This is
the real way to listen to the podcast won't be affected at all.
Yeah. Okay. This needs to. That. There we go. We got it. All right.
Working? Fantastic.
Yes,
Brilliant.
it's working. All
Huzzah.
right. Hello and welcome to NoCB, a grand strategy podcast. This is for the week of the 2nd of June, 2021. I am Len. I'm your host. I need to come up with some new profile pictures. I can't keep cool shades Victoria forever. We'll keep her around for a little bit. With
Maybe
me today,
Bismarck needs to be next.
could be, yeah, we could do Bismarck next.
Just keep swapping between contemporary rulers.
Yeah, we'll go through the whole lot of them. With me today is Lambert.
Hello.
And Father Loris.
What's up? Hello.
And we are going to try to cover quite a bit today because we're going to try to cover the stuff that we didn't cover the week after PDXCon because we wanted to focus mainly on the big announcements. So we're going to be going over last week's Dev Diaries for a couple of things in addition to this week. But we'll start, as we often do, with the most recently announced stuff from Humankind. They announced the Soviets, who are for some reason expansionist. I guess this is the Trotskyist Soviet Union. Long live the permanent revolution. I don't know if we mentioned this on the last week, but
they should be industrialist.
They should. If it's Stalin's Soviet Union, if it's the historical Soviet Union, that would make a lot more sense. They're also calling this the Red Army tank instead of its proper, technical designation.
T-32.
Which
T-34, isn't it?
T-34, yeah.
Yeah.
Tanks.
I mean, the T-34 was the more iconic one.
Yeah. It's you got to go with the T-34, but I don't know why they're not calling it the T-34. Because the Red Army had a lot of tanks, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Arms factory makes sense. They can build lots of weapons, but historically those weapons weren't really used for expansion so much as they were. Well, they did some expansion. They tried. A lot of people have tried to invade Afghanistan. Usually doesn't go very well.
No.
And then we got the Swedes, the most unexpected of the lot, the one none of us guessed. They get stealth boats and
it's an odd one.
A research institute. I was really hoping it would be a game studio.
It would have been good as a game studio, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it makes more sense than a fucking stealth corvette to have a game developer as their emblematic unit, let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, having science kind of makes sense with like the Nobel Prize and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is actually a very good mechanic, I thought.
Isn't Niels Bohr? He's Swedish, isn't he?
There were a lot of prominent Swedish scientists.
Yeah. I can see the research institute. That I've no problem with. But fucking stealth corvette.
Yeah, it's like what if it's gonna be a military unit? Like Sweden hasn't been in a war since like like the 1800s or something. So
because Sweden was involved in a grand total of fuck all wars, so clearly they must have been super fucking stealthy.
Yeah, they actually sent loads of corvettes, but nobody saw them.
You know what? Actually, I heavily disagree with this stealth corvette because there is one Swedish military unit that is head and shoulders like what I think of when I think of Swedish military in this era. They've got a tank that it's got like a fucking fence on the front of it. It's the craziest looking tank ever. It doesn't have a turret. To aim up or down, they change the suspension on the tracks to raise the front of the tank. And to aim side to side, they literally need to turn the tank side to side. It's like
this is
the strangest looking tank ever.
Is this still in use, or is this like a historical...
I believe they've still got a few. It's called the Stridsvagn.
Oh, okay. Oh.
The S tank, developed in the 1950s.
Wagon,
So it totally works for this era, and it is the funniest looking tank you've ever seen. It's amazing. I love it.
I love that for some reason. Stridsvagn. Like it just sounds. It's very funny.
So in my opinion,
like points into the ground. I see it. Yeah.
That should be their emblematic unit. Not fucking stealth shit.
Here we go.
Oh wait, no, don't. I found the one. I found the one with a goddamn fence on the front. It's funny. It's got like you just paint it white and it's the front lawn of an American house.
There we go. Yeah.
Have your little white picket fence.
What is that for? Just like it folds down so you can.
I would imagine that is to. You know how a lot of tanks have these armor plates on the side of the tank that are they're just flappy, like they're on hinges and stuff, so that they'll catch incoming shells and they'll just get blown off. I imagine maybe the gate is something similar.
No.
Or it could just be so that you can have a bit of storage, and your food's not going to roll off the front of the tank.
No, it's to stop skateboarders doing sweet kick flips off the side.
That was a big problem.
Yeah,
during the Cold War, is you just constantly had pro skaters doing sweet flips off of your tanks. It could get very distracting. So.
It's one of those. It's anti-homeless architecture.
Oh yeah. You can't just have people just taking naps.
Oh my god, I was right. According to Wikipedia, it's anti-heat armor. So high explosive anti-tank.
Okay.
I'm totally right. Fuck yes.
Oh.
Yeah, hey, it's a cheap solution to the problem.
Does that mean that most American suburban homes are also resistant to high explosive anti-tank shells?
Yes, actually, that's why. That's where the white picket fence came from. It was in case we got invaded by the Nazis. That's why.
It's just an extension of the Second Amendment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fortress doctrine.
My argument. This is way more emblematic than a fucking stealth ship.
I love it.
Mostly because we've never seen the stealth ship because it's very stealthy.
I love it. I love the name Stridsvagn. Like that's just. Like, we don't name stuff like that in English. Like we don't have like the battle car. Like we don't have, for some reason, like just the very straightforward naming convention of military hardware in like German and Nordic languages makes me.
The American system is the worst.
The Challenger.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad.
I mean, like the British, named all the tanks, names like Matilda and Crusader and all that sort of
thing. Churchill.
The Churchill,
The
Cromwell. Americans objectively are the worst, where it's like, A4820 or whatever, we just give it a letter, the B24.
The Soviets did the same thing. It's
we just talked about the T-34.
Yeah, exactly. Rubbish.
Just name it.
Well, I worked out, like, oh my god, the Soviets are the worst at names. Like, I worked out in Mongolia, like, a few years ago, and they name everything just numbered. So the three coal plants in Ulaanbaatar are Soviet built, and they're called Coal Plant 1, Coal Plant 2, and Coal Plant 3. It's like so boring.
Yeah,
I hate
come
it.
on. Yeah, you gotta be a little more creative than that.
Do the traditional Mongol naming method and name everything Genghis Khan.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that works.
Genghis Khan Coal Plant 1, Genghis Khan Coal Plant 2.
Remember that?
Much better.
Yeah, remember that one time that we ruled the world? Let's name everything after. All right. Well, we're gonna go back for Paradox stuff to sort of the order that we were using for CK3, where we're gonna talk about the unannounced game at the top of the show, and then go in like chronological order by era. So that means we are going to be rolling right into Victoria 3, which is releasing Dev Diaries on
not a tank. Yeah.
Releasing Dev Diaries on Thursdays now, which is the worst possible day they could do it with regard to this podcast, but that's fine. I'm sure that
they did it intentionally, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure they did it just
oh yeah,
irritate us. We got the first official Dev Diary last week. If you're listening to this on SoundCloud, the second one will already be up, but I don't know. If we can lobby, maybe we can turn into radicals and lobby them to change the Dev Diary date. We got...
That's what the Jacobins wanted all along.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what they
rabid
really wanted.
podcasters.
Oh yeah. Pioneers of the craft.
Yeah. Oh man, like for Jacobins, like we would totally have had podcasts if they.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine?
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine how insufferable like
the whole like
podcasts would be too?
The whole like Parisian coffee house culture, it would have just been podcasts. They would have just all been sitting around doing podcasts.
Yeah.
And the Austrians, oh Jesus.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Vienna would have been a hub of podcast. So we gotta look at a couple new pops. We got a French Catholic clergyman here.
Mm-hmm.
Period appropriate facial hair.
Yeah, period appropriate clothing, which I really like.
Yeah.
Again, like we said last week, I'm curious if this is going to change over time to reflect shifting fashion trends.
I would love that.
Be very, very cool. We have.
I mean, did the cassocks stop being used towards the end? Yeah, it would have been 1920s.
Yeah, it would have been within.
Is
the
that
time
his fancy
frame.
belt?
Yeah.
Cassocks, I think the.
The shoulder pads.
The mantle type thing. Yeah.
I feel like I should know this, but I'm like 10% sure of that.
Mr. The Chapel.
Yeah.
We've got an Ottoman, Turkish. Let's see what
aristocrat.
Aristocrat. That's what he is. Yeah.
He's got his lovely fez.
He already looks fairly westernized. I don't know if anybody knows, like, if the Ottoman Empire was already wearing kind of these westernized shirt and jackets at this point. I don't know. I don't know enough about
there as well.
The late Ottoman Empire to tell you. But yeah, it breaks down what interest group this pop is loyal to. Some of them are more loyal to the army. Some of them are more religious, which is kind of cool. And then it also gives us a little bit more detail on how pops can be promoted. So you have to have adequate wealth to become an aristocrat.
Mm-hmm.
To a lesser degree, also literacy, and also pops who are facing cultural discrimination take a longer time to promote. And then officers and bureaucrats will promote into aristocrats more easily than other pop types.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That's really nice. Also shows us that there's going to be a difference between soldier pops and officers pops.
Yes, because the enlisted are considered lower strata and the officers are kind of like middle strata. So
which was the same in Vicky too, right?
Right. Yep. So
I don't think there was an officer pop though, was there?
I think there was.
Yeah.
Oh well, I've just literally finished a game of Vicky 2 today and completely blanked on that.
Who did you think was leading your armies?
Officer pops are almost completely useless. I mean, they just generate leaders.
Yeah.
So
fair enough. I don't recall having a shortage of those, so I think I did a good job.
Yeah,
you generally run into a shortage of soldiers more than you run into a shortage of officers.
I'd like to see it be more of a effect, like if you don't have a certain ratio of officers, or like if your entire military is illiterate, they will not fight as well.
Or maybe you've just gone through a great purge.
Yeah,
exactly.
That can be an issue, I've heard sometimes.
Mm.
A lot of the rest of this is stuff we already know from the convention, but they did have some interesting answers down in the comments. As far as women portraits, they say we're experimenting with a few things. Stay tuned. Which would be very cool if, like, you give suffrage, some of your pops will have women as portraits.
Yep.
Or even, I mean, there's space on there to have a man and a woman beside each other as well.
Right. Yeah, that would be.
So maybe
when
when
really
you have
cool.
suffrage and you have like equal rights, you'll show them both.
And if you have child labor, you could have like a little kid down there too, in a machinist's outfit with a welding torch.
And his hands outstretched. Please, sir, can I have some more?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it. I can see it.
Wiz says they're very moddable. You can easily add new pop types. And he did clarify, we aim to have female portraits as well. Details beyond that will go in here. Yeah. So, I think that was all of the big stuff from the dev reply correctly. We also got a video dev diary, which normally they're just taking information we already have from the regular dev diaries and presenting them in a more digestible format. This one actually had some fairly new information, though. We won't play the whole thing, but some of the highlights from it. They specifically referenced interacting with pops through parties, which at this point I think parties are
they're in now, aren't they?
more or less confirmed. Like, they're not officially confirmed, but I'd say there's like a 95% chance they'll have political parties. I had a good discussion with this with a couple people on Twitter about how, yes, interest groups are more interesting, but I would like to see political parties exist as basically a holding group or with a budget, because that's really what political parties do. They centralize the resources of these material interest groups in order to win elections, and that's kind of how I think they should work.
Exactly.
They said they want I just want to take this country and make sure its people have a good life to be a valid play style. You don't have to have any grand ambitions. To restore
they did mention the
empire.
opposite, though, which I think a lot of people will go for, is I want to make this state a autocracy.
Yeah,
and see how long I can hold on with my absolute monarchy for as long as possible.
No reason why not.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Today, though, constitutional monarchy is the best.
Of course.
Best method if you would like to, keep your king's head on his shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know why you'd want to do that, but yeah.
I mean, because you got constitutional monarchy, and there's no reason to break out the guillotine. It's an awful lot of work setting up a guillotine. I mean, you've got to have some fairly skilled carpenters, and it's just a hassle. So unless you really need it, like say you want to, guillotine a French king, then I mean specifically, it's because he was French, maybe? Clearly. Then what's the point?
They mentioned that cultures can become fascinated with certain goods.
Yes. Really interested.
So the British tea craze being an example. It's funny because someone in the comments actually said something along the lines of, "I hope it's just a small thing, like a plus 10%. Otherwise, it would be unrealistic." And Martin replied with like,
"No,
like the British tea craze is literally why the Opium Wars happened." Like,
yeah, exactly. I mean,
in the Vikinomics panel, it was stated that the tariffs on just tea imports made up 30% of the entirety of the British economy. It was pretty important.
And we talked about the same thing last week with the US and whiskey.
Well, this is I was more interested in the other side around where this could be a good mechanic to simulate the opium epidemics in Asia.
That's the thing I didn't get a chance to ask that I really wish I had asked when I interviewed them, is like, can specific goods have negative effects? Like, can pops become like alcoholics, or like get addicted to opium? And things like that.
Well, people forget that there was a big opium craze in Europe. I mean, laudanum was like massively used. In fact, when I was renovating my house, I found like newspaper cuttings. It was in a box of them, but with like an advert for Coca wine in it.
I thought you were going to say that you found like a crate of laudanum. Like,
oh, I wish.
You live in the castle from Amnesia: The Dark Descent.
But like people were obsessed with cocaine and laudanum and gin craze, of course. Really big problem.
Russia with their vodka is, of course, it's not just a meme. It's a literal thing.
How can you have the Anglo-Dutch wars without the related Anglo-Dutch gin rivalry? So that'll
be interesting. Like, especially if you get fascinated, if the pop gets fascinated with alcohol, what that means for prohibition and stuff.
Yeah, I'm really hoping. Vicky 3 to Empire of Sin save converter win. No, I'm hoping that you can get like gangsters and freebooters and stuff if you pass prohibition.
I wonder if it will go the other way around as well. Would your Indian pops, for example, be less interested in eating meat? And they would prefer.
I would assume that
their sustenance come from vegetables, rice. What I don't really know, but like isn't it something like 80% of Indians nowadays are some form of vegetarian?
Yeah, that's true. And like, the Muslim world doesn't eat as much meat, red meat. They pork. Jewish
of course, and alcohol, of course, is a given.
Yeah, although the aristocrats would still, to be historically accurate, Muslim aristocrats should still drink like a shit ton because they didn't.
Morocco and Egypt were massive exporters of wine as well.
Yeah. There was quite a lot of alcohol swirling around the Ottoman Empire, anyway.
Yeah. If you were rich, it didn't really matter. They also specifically said it's always best.
Everyone's life.
It's always best to try to avoid war if possible, which I thought was interesting. Because in real life, that's generally true, regardless of what era you're looking at. It's usually more of a drain on resources than it is a gain for most cases to go to war. We hear a lot about the times where that wasn't the case because they're epic stories of adventure and conquest, but you don't want to get a bunch of your farmers killed. Like, if you can avoid it, it's generally not the best way to run a society.
If I can threaten you into giving me your shit, rather than blowing you up to get your shit, then everyone's happier. Or ammunition is expensive.
Or to engage in limited warfare, like a lot of traditional societies did. Taking loot, taking captives, not necessarily having these giant bloody battles where hundreds of people die. Even like pre-Viking Age into the early Viking Age in Scandinavia, that's how most wars were fought. Like, you'd have your one Jarl's guys line up on one hill and another Jarl's guys line up on another hill, and they'd throw javelins at each other for a while, and 3 or 4 of one guy's retinue would die, and then they'd leave, and it would be, okay, the battle over, we won, plus 10 prestige or whatever. The idea that we're gonna fight to the death. This will be
a YouTube video later.
Fight to the death for the existence of our society, or fight to the death to completely conquer your society is not normally how warfare has been conducted throughout history.
I think this is the first time when that did become a thing.
I mean, it was Persia did it, Alexander did it, the Romans did it. There were always exceptions, I think, but it didn't become the norm until much, much, much later.
Than just the Romans.
I do like, because you're going to, they were talking about maybe having war casualties becoming like pops that are war wounded.
Right, yeah.
I'd love that.
That's really interesting.
Steinwall interview, he said about war wounded potentially becoming dependents as well as just dying.
Right. That would be really, really interesting.
Yeah.
So, you'll have like the massive economic effects that, like, say, the American Civil War had. World War One obviously destroyed everyone involved in some way. Ocean wars, having these horrible economic effects of these really disastrous wars for everyone involved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be great to see.
I
mean, it wouldn't be great to see. I mean, you know what I mean. It would be interesting.
I love.
Yeah,
I love.
Love me some war wounded.
Yeah, exactly.
Bit of amputation here, bit of PTSD there. It's all good shit.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh.
But I imagine, like, if you're playing America and Vicky, for example, it's going to be hopefully quite hard to avoid a civil war. But I mean, it would be great and advantageous if you could abolish slavery without a civil war.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It'd be massively more economically advantageous to do that.
I think you would need to. Somebody actually asked about this on Reddit, and I'm like, I think without ever having played the game, you would probably need to invite the industrialists and the military into your government. Set up some form of dictatorship, like just give the president a shitload of power, because that's kind of what Lincoln did anyway during the Civil War, and then just use all of that extra authority to suppress the plantation owners and go ahead and force through abolition. It's probably possible. It wouldn't be easy, but
just keep the ordinary people on side, I guess. But like, you could probably crush just a few hundred plantation owners.
Yeah.
Just
like,
keep everyone else happy.
Keep the rural southern farmers. Give them lots of nice things.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't
do what the British did when we abolished slavery and literally pay the owners for the slaves, and then set them free.
Stuff their mouths with gold.
I wonder if that.
On one hand, giving slave owners money is a pretty shitty, abhorrent thing to think of. However, does it beat having a civil war?
Well, there's also,
I would argue yes.
The other issue with the U.S. Civil War that I feel like we might have to wait for an expansion to actually model this properly, but a lot of why it happened the way it happened was kind of the race for Senate seats that was going on with, like, we added a free state, so we have to add a slave state now, and that whole tension between that.
And that's why you didn't take a bigger chunk out of Mexico either. Because the North was worried that, if we take more of Mexico, then they're all going to be slave states and we'll be outnumbered.
Man, Sam Houston, if you ever get a chance to look up Sam Houston's proposal for the annexation after the Mexican Civil War, he wanted to take basically the whole country. He was going to leave them like the Valley of Mexico and like the Yucatan or something. Like it's a very absurd proposal, but
there's a lot of people who want to take like Cuba in the Spanish-American War too, right? And that was
that would have been a slave state, and that would have outnumbered us.
Yeah,
it's basically the reason why a lot of the American expansion period didn't expand more.
Also, another interesting thing that I'm curious if they'll model is the reason California was admitted to the Union as one state. The federal government actually wanted to break it up, but they said, "Oh, if you break up California, we're just going to secede and form our own republic." So that's why California is so huge, because they're like, you could take us as one state, or we can just be independent. That's how it's. So I'm curious if there will be like decisions related to that, because it'd be interesting to have an independent Republic of California. Because
that'd be pretty interesting.
There wouldn't really have been a lot the federal government could do. Like logistically, there weren't even railroads going over the Rockies at that point. So it's like, I mean, you could invade. Your supply lines are going to be in a disastrous state. There's no Panama Canal yet, so it's not like you can sail a fleet from Massachusetts over to Los Angeles. Let's talk some CK3 though. We got an announcement finally that I'm not sure if it's all of the Monarch's Journey stuff.
I think it is. Yeah.
Is it? Okay. I was going to say it's at least a lot of the Monarch's Journey stuff is going to become available to everyone in the next patch. Sorry about my Slack notification. Mute that real quick. I always forget to do that before the podcast. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but if I had to guess how many people actually finished the Monarch's journey, I would
starts
say
with enigmatic and ends in Rose.
Yeah, it's like Rose and 5 other people. Like I think even saying 1% of Crusader Kings players unlocked everything would be
stretch.
Way overestimating it.
I got none. Because, I got you announced CK3. I have no interest in CK2 anymore.
Yeah, I got the first 2 unlocks. But yeah, I think this is the right way to do it.
I mean, by that point, I was just exclusively playing modded CK3 at that point.
Yeah.
Although I will say, I've never played Vicky 2 as much as since Vicky 3 was announced. So I guess it's not... it's very strange how... CK3 announced. I now no longer care for CK2, but like not the same for Vicky.
You had never played Vicky 2 though, right?
I had like 80 hours or something. Whereas for CK2 I had maybe 600, 800, something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, part of it's probably that just, you've seen everything there is to see in CK2, whereas Vicky 2, you probably haven't seen even half of
it was
what there is to see in Vicky 2. Yeah, we got a Joan of Arc haircut. We have the all-important mullet. So
the hair should be more ginger and spiky and on fire.
Yeah, and then...
why are we adding the flaming t-shirt? That's so
yeah, various medieval headgear. You can have a wizard hat now. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Where's the wizard hat? Is that what you're calling the magnificent hennin?
Yeah, it looks like a wizard hat to me.
It's got no brim. You need a brim. Where are you going to put your torch if you don't have a brim?
You can put it on your shoulder or
you get toad shoulder then.
Yeah, you don't want toad shoulder.
Yeah, toad shoulder.
Toad shoulder it's not good juju.
No, exactly.
But possibly even more exciting than the mullet.
All doctors recommend keeping your toads in your wizard hat at all times.
Oh.
Unless you have gout, then you rub it on your knee. Apparently that works too.
What podcast was I listening to just recently where they were talking about how pirates had a parrot on they were saying like satirically that pirates actually historically had a parrot on each shoulder, but because pirates always die on their side, the upper one would be exposed to the elements and rot away. I don't remember where I heard that, but I just remember that was such a hilarious like archaeology joke. Spouses of rulers will now once again wear clothes based on their spouse's culture. This has been annoying me in 1.3 quite a bit. That you'll marry somebody from like the steppe and they'll still be wearing steppe clothes around in central France. Arabic high nobility will wear the proper turbans, and I love these changes. The AI vassals will no longer blob out into the middle of effing nowhere.
Yes.
Anymore.
Yeah.
If they have at least one tribal holding in their domain, they will not conquer any more tribal holdings until they've upgraded that one to feudal. So it's like, they can conquer out into Eastern Europe, but they're going to have to slowly feudalize as they go. And also, they will only declare holy wars on countries they share a land border with. So you won't have a Byzantine blob stretching up into like the Urals anymore.
I will say the border gore situation, mostly for the Byzantines, but let's be honest, it was for literally everyone. Is the reason I've stopped playing CK3.
It's gotten better. Like it's better in 1.3 than it was in 1.2 for sure.
Still awful. My vassal Sweden, like one of my campaigns, I was playing as Sweden. I became Scandinavia. It's like, what, let's go and get North Sea Empire, and then I zoom out and like, why does Scandinavia own all of Aragon and like Gascony? I didn't do this. It's just not.
Yeah, you gotta turn that exclave independence on strict. That helps a lot.
Needs to be even stricter. There needs to be like super strict.
Well, I think it should be a technology. Like, I think by default, everybody should have strict exclave independence, and then as you research better administration, you can have distant exclave.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good, actually.
Yeah. So, yeah, good AI changes. I feel like ultimately the solution to, like, Byzantine border gore is that, like, the Byzantines and their vassals should all be scripted to be like, all right, if we're going to conquer, we're going to start with stuff that used to belong to us. Like they should try to conquer the old Roman borders before they start spreading off in just, like, random-ass directions.
Yeah.
It's the issue that Imperator had. You'd have the Romans going into Denmark because it was easier to conquer than going into Carthage or Greece. And you're getting the exact same issue in CK3. The Byzantines don't want to conquer into Italy because, you know, the Pope's there and he'll come over with his freaking 100,000 worth of mercenaries. And, you know, that's just, no one likes that. So we'll just go and conquer the fucking Jurchen tribes or some shit instead. It's so, I mean, why?
I think Princessity got it, like, bang on in chat. I mean, the proper solution is to have imperial bureaucracy and hopefully
there should not be autonomous military governors in the Byzantine Empire making foreign policy decisions anyway. They should be like leveraging the resources of the entire empire to be like, hey, we're going to reconquer Croatia because that used to be a Roman province. So, yeah.
I mean, the Byzantines shouldn't be blobbing that much anyway. The Byzantines are just incredibly powerful, like, for what they were.
Yeah.
That update should totally come alongside the one that renames them back to their proper title, their real name, rather than this fucking acronym.
I do run a mod that renames them to Eastern Roman Empire.
Either Eastern Roman Empire, Basilia Romaean, Roman Empire, Empire of the Romans.
Yeah.
Not this fucking German exonym. Just sod off with his German exonym.
Yeah.
Garbage.
The pre-Ottomans. That's what I call them.
Ban this man.
Ottoman Empire was the legitimate successor to Rome. I don't know what you want me to say.
I know, maybe the truth. You can start with the truth.
Yeah. No,
It's the truth. You just deny the truth.
The last Ottoman Empire, the last Ottoman emperor was the last Roman emperor. That's fact.
Elite.
Last of the Romans next.
I do find it funny that
they weren't the same
Johann
religion. Rome has changed religion.
Habsburg was the last Roman emperor.
Yeah, Johann has the spiciest take on that. The Habsburgs.
It is the spiciest of spicy takes.
Yeah.
No, that would only be true if the Ottomans conquered Vienna, but unfortunately, that's not true anymore. So.
Then the wind hussars.
I guess their only claim is that the Pope, who actually ruled over Rome, called them Roman emperors. But I don't think there was any really strong continuation of Roman institutions, which is why I consider the Ottomans to be a legitimate continuation. Because
I disagree, because I don't think
the Ottomans and in fact the caliphs, the medieval caliphs of the CK2 era, basically learned how to empire from the Romans. A lot of people don't take that into account.
The late history of the Roman Empire is just constantly having your land chipped away at you by this religion from the peninsula until finally your last holding gets taken, and then they have the audacity to also steal your name. Yeah, I can't be jiving with that. Sorry, it's not happening.
Constantine did it first. Anyway. So
no, my logic for the Ottomans of the successors of Rome is because it annoys so many Byzantiboos, and I seek so much joy from that.
I'm not a Byzantiboo because I don't like the term Byzantium.
Romaboos.
I think that by definition makes you. Yeah, that's fine.
So you like it out of spite. I don't jive with that either.
Yeah. That's it.
Oh, well, I think that is Oh no, wait, we have Hearts of Iron. I was like, how did we get through all that so quickly?
Of course. Yeah.
We have a couple Hearts of Iron Dev Diaries to talk about.
I love these Hearts of Iron Dev Diaries. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Because they've got trains in them. And you do love your choo-choos.
I do love choo-choos.
They do have trains. They also have... Am I on the right screen? Yes. Okay. The new supply system, which looks like it is a heat map. Like it's radiating out.
Gorgeous heat map too, isn't it? It looks really, really nice.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Now, the red is, the supply isn't going to work like that. So, they've just done that for testing purposes.
Oh, okay.
But so really, at the start of a game, Manchuria is not going to be like massively undersupplied. But yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
That's basically the heat map it's going to be. Manchuria is obviously going to have less supply.
Yeah.
Because people don't often talk about that, but the supply, Hitler going into Russia is well known for having terrible supply problems.
Right.
I mean, in comparison to the Japanese going into China, their supply problems are off the wall. Like they had the worst supply problems, and they didn't really account for it. They really did not plan for supply problems. So many Japanese troops died of starvation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a reason if you actually go down the historical path with Japan and you win in Hearts of Iron 4, they directly take control over the coast, and then the inner China becomes a puppet state because they couldn't have invaded that even if they wanted to. It's like completely implausible at the time. Yeah. So, new supply system I think is going to be a great improvement over what we have now. We have animated trains going across Italy, which is obviously
brilliant. Apart from
really
one fact,
cool.
there's no puff of smoke coming off the top of them.
No, there's still time. We don't have a release date yet. Yeah.
If this is just a model, you can't model the smoke. That's clearly a simulation.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Smoke is a fluid simulation. Clearly.
Exactly. Each particle of
the model. Come on.
Each particle of smoke is an agent, and they track how much coal you're burning.
To
create those agents. Yeah.
I would basically my entire GPU process to be completely consumed.
You're gonna need at least an i9 Extreme to run with trains on max settings.
Yeah,
I mean, a fluid simulation to the extent that you'd need, it would be more GPU based.
That's true. Yeah.
3090 should do you.
Yeah.
Which they'll be back on sale sometime.
Yeah, those
in
are
the
only
next
like
12 years.
$4,000 on the secondary market right now. That's a small price to pay for having pretty choo-choos.
I feel so lucky that when my GPU died, I managed to get myself a 3070 retail price, like a real retail price.
Yeah,
it was like the only one in the entire country.
Is it like the crypto market is bumping up all these prices, right?
Yeah.
So honestly, no. A lot of it is that, but also because of COVID, there is a shortage of silicon wafers in the world.
Yeah.
There's a massive shortage of silicon wafers, so they're more expensive as well.
Yep.
It's just like compressed sand. Come on, can't we make more of those?
Just squeeze it.
The amount of time it takes to make one silicon wafer, the runtime on that is 4 to 7 months.
I'm just imagining an artisanal silicon wafer shop where they've got sand in a bowl with a mortar and pestle, and
they're just massaging the sand,
crushing it down and
the
shaping
pneumatic
it.
The Finnish YouTube channel, the pneumatic press channel. They could just start making. You just put pneumatic pressing sand, boom, silicon wafers.
Yeah.
Doesn't that guy live near you?
I mean, he's in Finland. I don't know where in Finland he is.
I thought he was in northern Finland. But,
just because I live in Finland doesn't mean we know everybody.
Yeah. Everyone in Finland knows each other.
Well, that's true. Finland doesn't have a lot of people, but also, from what I understand, they don't ever talk to each other. So I would understand.
No, that's also we could literally be next door neighbors. I wouldn't have a clue. Not even joking.
Oh my goodness, that must have been a huge cultural shock coming from the north of England. He basically
didn't bother me at all because I lived in Ireland for a while and didn't want to talk to other people.
Don't blame me here.
We are also getting railway guns. This is confirmed.
Yeah.
Big boom. I like big boom.
They're gonna work like naval bombardment, so it'll be I guess if you have rail access to the area you're fighting in, and you have railguns, they will... Railway guns, not railguns. Not like magnetically projected particles, but a big artillery piece on a choo-choo train.
Yeah, well, you can change for localization files to change the name anyway, and it doesn't change the checksum. So it's Iron Man compatible. You can call them, choo-choo bangers or choo-choo cannons.
Yeah, there you go.
Want.
Yeah.
Railguns.
Bangers and mash. It goes bang, you turn your enemy into mash.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So yeah, we'll be able to use that in like sieges against big cities that have lots of infrastructure. And we got a little peek at the Soviet focus tree.
Nothing too revealing. I mean,
no.
I think everyone guessed it'd be a Trotskyist and a Stalinist tree.
Yeah, it's funny that they're calling the Stalinist tree the center. I'm wondering what the other part of this that we're not seeing is.
Yeah.
I'd say Stalin is within the boundaries of socialism. Stalin is kind of the right wing of socialism.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if there's an even more right wing socialist that.
Rasputin reborn.
I don't know. I hope they get an anarchist path. I'm sure they
National
will.
Bolshevik path or something.
Yeah.
You get those loopy people in Russia now, don't you?
Also, can I just point out, right? They've got the center to the left of the left.
Yeah.
Fuck?
He said, "Trust me, it makes sense. You are crazy. I am not crazy." That's how he.
I mean, I'm just no.
They did exactly the same in Spain, with the right is on the left and the left is on the right.
Yeah.
Cease.
They're doing it just to annoy you specifically.
I mean, good luck with that. I won't be playing it.
A lot of people are, though. It's still, it seems like the only Paradox game that, like, every time they release data, the daily average players has been trending up.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of that is mods. About 10% of daily games are started with Road to 56. And if you add everything together, I think it's still around 25 to 30%.
That's way higher than any other Paradox game.
I'm honestly surprised it's not higher than that, because like I don't know very many people who even play Vanilla Hearts of Iron 4.
No,
I know a lot of people who play the mods. I don't know a lot of people who play. But
someone do some quick math and add all those numbers together.
16, 19. It's gonna be 22. It's something like 25%.
That's only total conversion mods. So I mean, there is other mods.
The biggest total conversion mods, yeah. So
yeah.
Where the fuck is that horse one? I don't even know what the fucking name of it.
Horse?
Equestria.
Equestria
the My Little Pony.
Yeah. That's clearly the remaining 75%.
Oh man. I have never been like, oh my goodness, that mod's like, it does make me sick. Not the fact that like, of what it is. Don't get me wrong, that it is sickening as a concept, but the amount of effort that's gone into it, it's terrible. It's awful. It disgusts me.
Oh.
So I don't particularly give two shits about like brony culture or anything like that, right? Either way, if you like it, whatever. But like, I was surprised at the venom there.
It does. Yes.
Well,
it sickens him.
It makes me physically ill. That mod.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you like My Little Pony, I don't care. But there seems to be like elephant in the room. Some of you seem like you want to date the ponies, and that's get some help. That's no. Like if you like the show, that's fine, but you shouldn't want to date the ponies. I'm just saying. Yeah. So date being the podcast safe word for what I'm referring to. So we got a little bit of a roadmap on the future of
Christ.
Yes, we will be reworking Italy in the future, they said. As games get older, the harder it gets to do large paid mechanics. I think every Paradox game that's been around for more than 5 years has demonstrated this. Way 4 is starting to approach that stage now, so they're going to do less big mechanical updates and more things like country packs and free patches. I think that's the way to go. The more big mechanics you add, like, I'm trying to think of a big, like, feature mechanic from the most recent EU4 expansion that I wouldn't just go ahead and get rid of, and I can't really think of it.
No, same.
So,
the entirety of the DLC.
I mean, I like the stuff they added to like Southeast Asia and stuff. But, so
concentrate stuff.
Concentrate development. No, pillage development.
I don't mind the pillage so much as for concentrate. I really don't like.
Pillage is okay in concept. I think they still need to work on the numbers a little bit.
Yeah, alright, if the game had pops.
Yeah,
fine mechanic if you had pops.
Big pain points like peace conferences that we definitely want to tackle as part of our future plans. I hope they also do something with the decision screen, because it's still just really confusing to work with.
Yeah. Well, I think, gosh, there was a recent update to, a progress report on Kaiserreich, and they said they were going to change the left KMT, which is like the
right
in Kaiserreich, KMT didn't split, so it's a left of it, and they're going to make what they called a decision focus tree, and I was like, oh my goodness, no, please.
Yeah, the whole
things are terrible.
The whole decision UI in Hearts of Iron 4.
Yep.
Rip it out and start over. That would be my suggestion. Just can the whole thing and start over.
In a hypothetical Hoi 5.
Yeah, Hoi 5 could integrate a lot of what I called on Twitter great ideas that came along too late to really be properly.
Well, I'm going to be so fucking disappointed on the PDX con that Hoi 5 is announced. It's gonna ruin my entire fucking.
Why? You don't want a new good Hearts of Iron game?
No.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because it's probably gonna happen before EU5, and be like, it's gotta be EU5. It's gotta be EU5. No, it's Hoi 5. Oh well.
I doubt it. I doubt we'll get Hoi 5 before. I think we'll probably get EU5 and Stellaris 2 before we get Hearts of Iron 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want some CPU stuff, because I've noticed that recently with Hearts of Iron, especially in the heat that's happening now, it's like my Hearts of Iron is starting to struggle because of CPU problems.
I mean, it's always had late game slowdown, I think. It's gotten better some patches, and then it's backslid other patches. Yeah, here we have Arheo on a bear going to join
I like
the
how
Hearts
he's
of
still
Iron team.
got the laurel wraith that my wife put on him.
Yeah.
Yep, that's still there.
Give that up.
It feels a little bit like a betrayal.
I really like. I did really like that he said, "I have a great interest in the simulation of socio-political economic causality behind the global narrative Hoi provides," which is again something that I'm not sure you could integrate that cleanly into Hearts of Iron 4, but maybe if they're working on Hearts of Iron 5, that would be an interesting direction to go in.
Well, that goes back to the decision screen, because like lots of countries do try and do that, but it's all done through that clunky decision screen.
Yeah,
it should be better UI elements to do. Right?
Yeah, for sure. They're looking for new programmers for Studio Gold for Hearts of Iron and other future grand strategy titles. So I think that's kind of replaced Vicky 3 Win as like the thing everybody's speculating about, is like, okay, so if Red is Crusader Kings in Victoria, what are Green and Gold? What are the other projects they're working on besides Stellaris and Hearts of Iron? Because I'm fairly certain each of them are working on a second game. I just don't know what those will be or when they'll be announced. So
it's Victoria's Secret, right? That's still got to come out.
Oh yeah. We also got the 5th anniversary pack coming for Hearts of Iron 4. We get a bunch of new planes.
I love it. It's really good.
I
love seeing like when you zoom in and you see the fighters fighting. There's like when you're doing the Battle of Britain, for example, and you see your Spitfires shooting down the meshes fits. It's really nice.
It looks like we have a seaplane here for the Germans, which I don't think that's a technology currently, is it? Like.
No.
Maybe
that's
just
not technology. That'll just be the naval plane.
Naval bomber, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool if you could have planes that could land on water and that actually did something.
Yeah. Well, seaplanes were like kind of the obsession for the people leading up to the war. Especially like the British and German seaplane racing obsession was like it was quite a big thing.
On if you're trying
really
to smuggle an artifact out of a South American temple, you gotta have a seaplane too.
That's right.
Or you just land your seaplane about a mile out of the harbour, then turn off the engine and paddle it closer, release the torpedo, and take off and fly away. Stealthy as fuck.
There you go. We're getting an Eastern Front music and radio pack. Which includes
it's really good.
The Soviet national anthem, which I don't care what you think about the Soviet Union. The Soviet national anthem, it's a banger.
Oh, it bangs.
It is a banger. It's one of the great national anthems of our age.
Somebody that I knew who's like the most Ancapistan idiot I've ever met. Absolutely despises communism. He thinks Ayn Rand is like the best shit ever. But not a terrible person. Absolutely fucking loves the Soviet national anthem.
How could you not?
Absolutely adores it.
Oh, Soviet Union, the Sovietist Union. There's no Soviet Union. As Soviet as our union. I'm pretty sure that's.
I'm pretty sure.
That's the words.
Nailed it. For sure. There's some other really good songs in that too. Like if you haven't checked out the video, I'd really recommend doing it. The Romanian ones are really nice.
Cool.
In fact, Hearts of Iron have had some real bangers. Like the Battle of the Bosphorus soundtrack was really good.
Oh yeah, I love that whole vibe, like the Mediterranean vibe of the Battle for the Bosphorus.
Yeah, just about the Turkish one. Which is really, really good with all the Turkish music.
Yeah,
the Chinese music pack was amazing. Battle of Wuhan is still like, do 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 do. It's very good. Lots of trumpets.
Oh yeah,
more trumpets than needed in Hearts of Iron in general.
I haven't been through these full patch notes yet, but some of the highlights they pulled out is Ethiopia can now peace out Italy if you push them out of your borders, so you don't have to like go invade Italy to win the war against Italy. The AI is no longer going to delete their entire naval production queue of old ships at game start. Hopefully they will do the correct thing, which is to set them all to finish the ship that they are working on and then get rid of them forever. Which is how I still don't know how boats work, so it's not like it matters anyway. And they've also done some stuff that the community is very happy about, like fixing the borders in Brazil. Which has also been a point of contention with Victoria too, with the stuff we've seen so far.
There's a few good things in the extended notes. Like you can't change division templates on encircled divisions anymore, which was quite
that's
cheesy.
Cool. Yeah,
because you could just like, my Panzer division's encircled. I'm going to just change the template so it's just one infantry.
Well, somehow, we'll rapture all of the tanks out of the pocket. And then put them back. Just this poor soldier just on his own. It's like, where's all the tanks gone? Oh, they're just floating up into the area. That's a good change for sure.
There's a few performance things. Apparently, the AI strategies is going to be less performance intensive, which hopefully solves those CPU issues that I was talking about.
Yeah, that'd
maybe,
be nice.
Hopefully, because it's hot and my CPU is getting to very high temperatures. It's too warm.
It is like seriously, like my game performance goes down in the summer because Colorado has a very wide range of temperatures. It can get very cold here in the winter and very, very hot here in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
It just means you can crank up your graphics settings in the winter.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like I get excited when it's cold out because it's like, oh yeah, RTX on.
Get me some of them God rays. Gotta heat up my house.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
My computer could seriously serve as a space heater. Like that's how much heat it puts on.
Yeah. It was like this big massive snowstorm in Europe, like called the Beast from the East, that happened like a few years ago, and it was so exciting because Frostpunk released and that was very intensive on the CPU, but it was so cold. It was amazing. You could just run that no problem because the room was about -10 degrees.
So very appropriate game.
Exactly, yeah. Wrapped up in like 10 blankets, like as all your citizens like freeze to death also.
Yeah.
It's good. It's immersive.
There is also a Stellaris Dev Diary that we should quickly have a scan at.
Oh, is
a link in the Discord.
Was that the one that I looked at and was like, eh?
Well, the main thing about it is you're going to be
week.
able to preview what the ships look like before you choose one.
That is definitely cool.
Yeah. Because there's nothing worse than, I really like the look of the mammalian ships, and then you get to the period where you can use juggernauts, and it looks like trash. I don't remember what the mammalian one looks like, but it probably doesn't look like trash. But just as an example, that's the example.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you don't want your juggernaut to look like Batman, so you don't want to play as the avians.
Yeah, I remember this because this was an entire Q&A that it made me laugh as a journalist because at a certain point you get a sense for what questions developers are allowed to answer and which ones they aren't. And I'd say 80% of this is, would you ever consider doing X? And the answer is maybe, but we can't talk about that right now. That's what 80 to 90% of this Q&A was. If you get a chance to ask a developer a question and you want to get a real answer out of them, just a tip, don't ask them, would you ever consider doing X? Especially if it's right at the end of the expansion cycle and they can't talk about what they're working on right now.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea, actually. I think we might implement that in the future or something along those lines.
Yeah, So, I think there were a couple little tidbits in here that were cool, but I didn't note them out or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about all the news we got for the week. But Loris, what have you been up to, and where can people find you on the interweb?
Just generally drawing and overheating. Back and forth of those two things. It's too warm. You can find me at chapelcomic.com and Twitter and all that.
Right, we got an end screen.
I know.
Lambert, what have you been up to and where can people find you?
I've been playing a lot of Victoria 2, trying to learn the game so I can make a decent comparison to Vicky 3 when we get the Dev Diaries and when the game finally comes out. So I've been trying to learn the game and been streaming it quite a bit and finished my first game of it just this morning.
And who did you play as?
France.
Okay.
Oh, France is a good one. Any mods or?
HPM. Yeah.
Ah, yes, yeah. Try HFMs. Also
HFM is the one I prefer out of the two.
Yeah.
As long as you're running one of those, don't play vanilla.
No, don't ever play vanilla.
On Thursdays, I've been doing Imperator Role multiplayer, #saveimperator. And starting this Friday, I'll be taking part in I think it's an 8 to 10 player Victoria 2 multiplayer.
Sweet.
Again, playing as France. There's a reason I've been playing as France recently. So that should be good fun.
Nice.
Going over the Dev Diaries and stuff for Vicky 3 as well. So Excellent. Hopefully good stuff.
What about you, Leanna?
Yeah, I'm Till Folkvang on Twitter. I haven't streamed in a while, and I don't honestly at this point know when exactly I'm gonna get back to it, but follow me on Twitter. That's where my stuff is. You can also follow the podcast. We're NoCB Cast on Twitch, YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, all the places that, maybe not all, but most of the places that podcasts can be found. You will find us there. And we'll be back again this time next week. I believe Rose will be back next week.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Have more Victoria 3 news to dissect.
The news that comes out tomorrow, we'll talk about next week.
And I guess some other games too. I don't know. I guess Paradox is making other games besides Victoria 3. I've heard they're neat, but
all of the only game that's in development that I care about right now is Victoria 3. Let's go.
Yeah. All right, and we'll see you then.
Take care. Ciao. Bye.